I have news for you. Donald Trump does not want the next Republican president to succeed. Why wouldn't he? Well, I'm going to explain it. Donald Trump may want Republicans to keep winning while he is in charge. He's desperate about the midterms only because of how it affects him. But the moment that someone replaces him and someone becomes the next Republican nominee and potentially the next president in January of 2029, that person becomes a threat to the one thing that Donald Trump cares about the most, which is Trump's status as the most important person in the room, in the Republican Party, in American politics. Now, right now, there is endless speculation about who is going to be the successor of Donald Trump. And we've talked about it. Will it be J.D. Vance, the vice president? Will it be Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State? Does Donald Trump secretly prefer one over the other? Is he testing them? Are they campaigning against each other? Although Marco Rubio reportedly has said to J.D. Vance, if you want the nomination in 28, I won't challenge you for it. Now, there is sort of interesting political gossip in all of this, but it distracts from the bigger reality that not a damn person is talking about. Trump wants subordinates. Trump wants people who are never as good as him, who are never as successful as him. In general, now this is before we get to 2028, in general, who does Trump want around him? People who will praise him, people who will defend him, people who will carry on his legacy. But imagine that Trump leaves office and the next Republican president has a better approval rating than Trump, which is almost guaranteed because Trump has a record low approval rating. Imagine that the replacement to Trump accomplishes more and is less chaotic and is less ridiculed globally by our allies and just people abroad and gets broader support or wins by more than Trump won by and starts getting credit for improving on Trumpism, either for doing Trumpism better than Trump or for, if it's a different type of Republican, in theory, bringing Republicans back to something else that is not Trumpism. Trump would hate that. Think about it. Can you seriously picture Trump sitting quietly in retirement while President Vance or President Rubio or whoever, President Lauren Boebert gets bigger crowds, higher approval rating, better coverage from Republicans and right-wing media? Of course not. Think of Trump's ego. Think of Trump's narcissism. Trump does not build institutions that can function without him. His whole idea is let me build a personality cult that depends on me. And he demands this sort of cult style total loyalty, but he doesn't return that loyalty. The moment one of his allies gets a little too much attention, shows that they're a little bit too much of an independent thinker, threatens to eclipse Trump in some way, Trump turns on that person. Think back to the VP sweepstakes or whatever it was, which ultimately went to J.D. Vance. Trump's instinct was not to pick J.D. Vance. Trump's instinct, which Trump's sons wanted Trump to pick J.D. Vance. Trump's instinct was to pick Doug Burgum, insanely boring, uninspiring, although somewhat smarter, I must admit, choice who couldn't possibly upstage Trump because he's like a picture on the wall. And that is not what Donald Trump, or rather, it is what Donald Trump wants. He doesn't want someone who's going to eclipse him in any way. And look at how many times we've seen it happen. Think back to Mike Pence, Trump's first vice president. Mike Pence spent years humiliating himself for Trump. And the second Pence, it's not even refused to steal an election, it's acknowledged he couldn't steal the election for Trump, Trump all of a sudden treats him as the enemy. And Ron DeSantis goes, as soon as he questions some aspect of what Trump is doing, DeSantis goes from political creation of Trump to Ron DeSanctimonious. And then when he challenged Trump for the nomination, it was over between them. Almost everybody in Trump's orbit is valuable only as long as they serve Trump. So think about what happens when the entire Republican Party has to move beyond Trump, because after all, he can't be president again. Trump has every incentive to make that transition fail. If his successor loses, Trump can say, see, they did need me. I was unique. I was the only one that can do it. If Trump's successor wins but struggles, Trump can say the country was better when I was president. And if the successor wins, maybe by more than Trump won by, and actually does okay as president, Trump can criticize and undermine and sabotage him before the Republican base transfers its loyalty. The safest outcome for the ego of Trump, which is even bigger than he is, if you can imagine that, the safest outcome for Trump's ego is a Republican Party that can't survive without Donald Trump, so that he can go, see, I told you you needed me. I told you I was the only one who could do this, and I was the best. And this is the sort of trap that Republicans have created for themselves, where they have now allowed MAGA Trumpism to hollow out their party from the inside for 11 years, roughly. And they've replaced what was a crappy political platform, but it was a political platform, with one guy's personal grievances. It was rigged in 2020. I alone can fix it. The Obama-Iran nuclear deal is bad because it has Obama's name on it, all this stuff. And now they're going to need to explain why someone else should lead. So J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio can flatter Trump. They can imitate Trump. They can compete for Trump's blessing, which will probably happen. But the prize they are chasing, I don't think exists, because Trump's endorsement has a condition. Maybe you get to inherit the movement, but you can never outshine Trump. And Trump would prefer to be remembered as the last great Republican president than watch another Republican do better while he is alive and get more praise. And if protecting the legacy means he's got to damage his own party, I don't think he hesitates for a second. There is one exception to this, and it is called Junior. I imagine that the only exception to this desire from Trump not to be outdone by any Republican president while he is still alive would take a back seat if it's Don Jr., because there is something Trump loves, and it's his own name. And if the next president is going to have Trump's name, Donald Trump Jr., that is the one person that Trump could see actually do as well or better than he does and still be able to take credit. After all, he has the exact same name Donald Trump does. What do you think? Do you agree that Donald Trump would sabotage his own successor if it meant that he can say, I was the best? Or do you disagree with me? Leave me a comment, send me an email, info@davidpakman.com. Let's talk about suits for a moment. Guys want to look sharp for weddings or work or dinner, or just you don't want to wear jeans one day. But finding menswear that feels classic, modern, and comfortable is pretty difficult. This is why I like our sponsor, Southern Gents. Southern Gents offers refined menswear. They've got suits and blazers, trousers, dress shirts, loafers, all the finishing touches. They've got a great suit collection with single-breasted and double-breasted options. Maybe you need something polished for business, or you've got a summer wedding. Southern Gents has what you need. I got a great single-breasted blazer and pant combo, perfect for a summer wedding I'm going to. The ordering is really straightforward. The shipping was super fast. Go to s-gents.com and use the code Pakman for 10% off your entire order. The link is in the description.